Today we're filming from the basement of the house I purchased, and the remodeling project's coming along just fine. Right now, at this particular time, we're in the month of July, and we're experiencing a heat wave. It's actually close to 100 degrees outside. So I was thinking, heat. Well, you know, we're not too far away from winter coming, so let's talk about heat. Do you use oil, gas, or electric? It's the Real Estate Show. Welcome to the Real Estate Show. My name is Rick Naples. I'm the owner-broker of Zone Realty LLC. You zone your home. Well, as I said in the beginning, we're actually in the month of July, so we're a few months away from winter time. But it's at this particular point you start thinking about, if you're purchasing your home, how is that home heated? Now, here in Connecticut, we have oil, gas, sometimes propane, and then, of course, there's electric. And there's all kinds of rules out there as far as what is the most efficient way to heat a home, as far as furnaces or heat pumps and so on and so forth, and what's the least expensive fuel to use when you're heating your home. Now, I went on the internet and I was looking up some of the statistics just to see what was going on with Connecticut homes. And it turns out that we have a lot of older homes here in this state. Now, of course, some of the homes are heated by oil and a good portion are heated by gas. And we're seeing some of the newer homes now using all electric. Let's talk about oil heat for a moment. Okay, oil. Oil is a fossil fuel. Some people like it, some people don't. The rule of thumb is that oil is probably the most expensive fuel out there in order to heat your home. But again, that depends on the economy and what's going on with prices and so on and so forth. But when you have a home that is heated by oil, you have some specific things you need to be aware of. Now, first of all, how's your hot water in the house? Is the hot water heater an electric heater, or is that also heated by the fuel from oil? So is your heat and your hot water both coming from the oil? And the reason why that's a good question to ask is because you want to be conscious of what your costs are going to be. And believe me, if anyone's analyzed, you'll find out that hot water, well, that cycling on and off can eat up a lot of your fuel. So that's something you need to be conscious of. Because it is a fossil fuel, you also have to be aware of safety. And this is where I like to talk about carbon monoxide. Now, what is carbon monoxide? Well, carbon monoxide is an invisible, odorless gas that is generated from those items that burn fossil fuels. Now, you can also have this problem when you have gas also. But what's the problem with the carbon monoxide is because it's odorless, you can't smell it, you can't see it. It can cause death if there are too many high levels in the home. They call it the silent killer. Now, how do you protect yourself from that? Well, first of all, you want to make sure that if you have oil, or in this case also gas, you want to make sure that you have those things serviced and to make sure that they're operating at their peak efficiency. You also want to install carbon monoxide detectors. Now, there are several types of detectors that you can use. Some are plug-ins, some are hardwired in. You want to look and see what is the best for the home. But you also, if you're looking to purchase a home, want to make sure that if it is a fossil fuel burning home, oil, or as I said, gas, you want to make sure that there are carbon monoxide detectors in the house. If not, you want to ask the seller to provide those before closing, or you want to put aside the money to be able to purchase those and put them in yourself. Now, a carbon monoxide detector is different than a smoke detector. Now, I want to just say right here that carbon monoxide detectors and smoke detectors, sometimes you can get a dual unit that will do both. But for talking's sake, let's just say they're two separate units. Smoke detector, all that's going to do is detect smoke in the house. It's a fire alarm. Carbon monoxide detector is a little bit different. That's made so it's going to detect carbon monoxide levels in the home and give you a warning if they get too high. Both are very important. Both are required by law to have in your home. So when you're looking to purchase a house, if you're looking at oil, you want to make sure that A, the furnace is an efficient furnace, that the oil tank is in good shape. And one of the things you need to look at when you're looking at an oil tank, folks, is to see if it's a newer tank. The older tanks sometimes need to be replaced. I always have gotten in the habit of bringing a flashlight, and when I go into a home that has an oil tank in the basement, I like to shine the flashlight at the bottom of the tank to see if I see any rust or any leaks or anything along those lines. But you want to make sure that the oil tank is an efficient tank, that it has a reserve in it. In other words, it's a tank within a tank type system. Now, it's here that I'm going to talk about houses, some in Connecticut, that have underground oil tanks. All right. An underground oil tank used to be the thing that people would do because they were able to put larger tanks outside. The problem is that underground oil tanks could be 30, 40 or more years of age. And as they sit in the ground, they're prone to corrosion. If an oil tank in the ground should spring a leak and that oil does get into the ground, you're now going to have a huge problem because not only are you required to remove the tank, but you're also going to have to remove all of the soil that's been contaminated. And that can get into thousands and thousands of dollars in expense. Usually, if there was an underground tank and it was removed, there is going to be paperwork that shows when it was removed and that the soil around it was tested and was either removed or deemed clean. So again, if you're buying an older home that is oil heated, you want to look at the furnace to see if it's been serviced. You want to look at the oil tank and see if the oil tank's in good condition. You want to pay attention, is that oil tank located in the basement? Or is it above ground in the back of the house? Or if it's underground, what's involved in removing that tank? Let's take a quick look at this particular presentation, and I'll be back to talk about natural gas. One of the other ways that homes are heated is using natural gas. Now, one of the nice things about natural gas is that most of the time it's plumbed right from the street into the house. So you don't have to have the oil man coming with the truck and delivering it by hose into an oil tank that's going to hold your oil reserve and then have to refill it once you've used it. Gas is more directly delivered, and gas burns a little bit cleaner. Now, I looked to see what the costs were as far as gas versus oil, and right now gas is a little less expensive to use as a heating fuel for your house than oil is, but again, it tends to vary on supply. Now, one of the interesting things about gas is gas has started to increase in popularity as far as the way to heat homes here in our state of Connecticut. The internet had statistics that were reported, and these statistics were from 2019, so could be a little bit better now. But it said that as far as homes were concerned here in the state of Connecticut, about 38% of the houses are heated by oil, compared to about 36% heated by gas. So as you can see, based on those percentage, gas and oil is getting to be about the same. Gas is a wonderful alternative if it's available in your area. It's more efficient, it burns cleaner, it doesn't have a smell to it. And if anybody's had an old furnace that's done a backflash, you understand that it's pretty messy to clean up if you have one of those situations have. So gas, oil. Now let me talk about electric. Well, a lot of houses are pure electric. Electric could be reliable. It's a very clean source of the way of fueling your house. You don't have to worry about supply lines. You don't have to worry about deliveries. The problem with electric, though, is if your house is all electric and we experience a power failure, you're not going to have heat in your house. So there is a trade-off. As far as expenses are concerned, I've been told electric's probably the most expensive way of heating your home. But again, do your due diligence, look online, and kind of examine the different costs as far as oil, gas, or electric to decide which is the best way to heat your home. Let's take a look at this quick presentation, and then I'll be back to talk about some alternative ways of heating a home during the winter. I'm here on the Real Estate Show, and I'm talking about heating systems and heating the home during the winter. It's kind of ironic that I'm talking about this because right now it's summertime. It's been 90 degrees plus weather outside. Everybody's thinking about air conditioning and staying cool and drinking plenty of fluids. And probably heating your home is the furthest thing on your mind right now. But when you're a shopper and you're out there and you're looking to buy a home, it becomes a very important thing. How is the house cooled as well as how is the house heated? because that's going to be an expense for you when the colder weather comes along. Now, depending on the way the house is heated is the way you want to approach the home. If it's oil, there are things you need to look for, like I mentioned, carbon monoxide detectors, the oil tank age, the furnace and how efficient it is. If it's gas, you want to also look at carbon monoxide detectors and see where the gas is coming in. Is it metered? Is it direct lined? And so on and so forth. If electric, you want to make sure that the electric supply to the house is enough to not only provide the electricity for the heat, but also all the other things in the house, like your lights and your appliances and so on and so forth. There are a lot of other alternative ways that have come up as far as being able to heat your home. Now, here in New England, some of our older homes, a lot of our older homes have fireplaces. So let's talk about a fireplace. I'm actually sitting in front of one of the fireplaces that's in my home. Fireplaces can be a great source of additional heat for a home. Unfortunately, they're not the most efficient way to heat your house. There's kind of a misconception that if you light a fireplace, it's going to provide enough heat to heat your whole house. Where the truth of the fact is, a regular fireplace actually takes heat out of your home. It sucks heat from your home and brings it up the chimney and throws it outside. So a fireplace isn't actually going to be the most efficient way of heating your house in winter. If you've had the opportunity to go look at some of the older homes in the state of Connecticut, you usually find that there's a fireplace probably in most of the rooms of the house, especially houses that are 100, 200 years old. Why is that? Why would the builders put a fireplace practically in every room? There's a fireplace in the kitchen, the living room, the dining room, fireplaces in the bedrooms. Well, this all goes along to what I just said. A fire in a fireplace only gives you a little bit of heat, just the heat that's right there in front of the fireplace. 90% of the heat that fireplace is generating is going up the chimney and outside. And because the fire drafts air from the room that it's burning in, it tends to suck the heat out of the room. So again, a fireplace is not the most efficient way to be able to heat your home. But we've found ways to overcome that, obviously, in the developments that have been made over the years. We're seeing folks close off their fireplaces with glass doors and using heating systems or heating covers. We're seeing wood or pellet stoves being added. We're seeing things being done to take that old-style New England fireplace and make it more efficient than what it is. Now, you have to be careful with fireplaces. Let me talk about safety again here. With a fireplace, although a fire looks great in a fireplace, never leave your fire unattended in the home. There's a tendency when you put your house on the market, if you have fireplaces and it's winter, to light a fire in the fireplace so it gives that ambiance of, oh, look at how nice that is with the fire, how homey that is, how cozy that is. But you don't want to do that. You want to be home when a fireplace is burning, because there's always the chance that that stray ember may come out of the fireplace and cause a problem somewhere in the home. So never leave your fireplace burning if you're going to leave the house. Also, don't try to close the damper until you're sure the fire is completely out. You don't need to get burned. I just want to give a warning here that even though a fire looks like it's burned out, the embers or the ash that is generated from the burned wood could still be very hot. So you want to make sure that's 100% of the way out before you close that damper, because you don't want to fill the house full of smoke, obviously. Fireplace safety, something you need to pay attention to. And fireplaces, as I said, are great in homes, but they may not be the most efficient way of heating the home. Now, what are some of the other ways you can heat a home? Well, there's all kinds of furnaces that are out there. There are heat pumps which exchange the air from the outside, heat it up or cool it up, depending on what your specific needs are. There's even something called geothermal. You know, interesting fact that if you dig a hole, say 5 or 6 feet deep in your yard, the temperature actually drops because the earth keeps the ground cool in the summer and warmer in the winter. It's natural. Geothermal takes advantage of that. It's basically a system where they install a heat exchanger furnace in. They put a pipe into the ground, which takes the hot air from the house and circulates it through the cool ground and back into the house as cool air for your air conditioning, and vice versa for your heat in the winter. One of the other alternatives that's out there for heating a home that we've seen a lot is propane. Now, propane is a liquid. It's delivered just like oil. It's put in a tank that's put outside your house. It burns very efficiently. But again, you need to have your home plumbed in such a way where it's going to be able to take advantage of that liquid, which turns into a gas, of propane in the house to heat your home. There are certain precautions you need to take. Do you need carbon monoxide detectors, and so on and so forth, if propane is the way to heat your home? Is it the most efficient way to heat a whole home? Well, again, you have to look at it. I've seen a lot of houses that do a combination of heat, where they'll have oil, perhaps, for the main heat, and maybe propane that operates the stove or the fireplace or something along those lines. I've also seen oil and gas combinations. And some houses take advantage of oil heat, gas, and electric. Again, when you're shopping for a home, you want to pay attention to how is that house heated and what are my potential costs in heating the home that way. Let's take a look at this, and I'll be back with the closing of the show and some final comments. There's so much information on the internet when it comes to heating and fuels and what's most efficient and non-efficient as far as keeping your home comfortable. You need to keep safety in mind. You need to be aware of the things that you need depending on what kind of fuel system is being used to heat the house. And you also have to watch out as far as your costs are concerned. Make sure you do your research. Talk to your realtor. Go on the internet, look up things. The more education you have, the better it will be in the long run. My name is Rick Naples, and this has been The Real Estate Show. I thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
Sometimes life just happens. Don't worry. Farmington Motorsports will get you back on the road and at a fair price. From towing to tires, emissions to transmissions.
Our ASC certified techs do it all.
Farmington Motorsports is a family-run business. We're a Napa Auto Center and AAA approved. We work on all makes and models from preventative maintenance to major repairs.
And every repair is backed by our 2-year, 24,000-mile nationwide warranty.
When life happens to you, don't worry. Farmington Motorsports.